Young Vivian, an orphanage inmate, recently celebrated her coming of age and met real life outside the institution. But the harsh world was not as friendly and pleasant as she had imagined. Viv came to the orphanage at the age of 3. The caretakers could not say who her parents were. It was amazing that they brought her in at midnight and cold weather, knocked on a door, and left. The girl was wearing a beautiful custom made pink suit. It was immediately clear, because in those days there were no such high quality clothes for children in their backwater town. The teachers even made a souvenir picture so that the grown Vivian knew that once she was loved and cared for. It was this photo that was kept by the girl to this day, but the photo did not help Viv to establish the identity of the parents who left her. It was difficult for her at the orphanage, but her mentor Lydia helped her, as if she were her own daughter. She always supported the girl when she was hurt, and if she couldn't make friends with anyone, she advised her on what to do next, what to pay attention to, in order to realize her future life. After Vivian graduated from the orphanage, Lydia helped her to speed up the process of getting a good apartment. Usually orphans were given squalid, old apartments, which required a lot of investment for both cosmetics, repairs, and the functioning of all the utilities. The woman always wanted to adopt Viv to become one family with her, because she herself could not have children. But age and aggravated chronic illness made the procedure useless. No one would have dared to put an orphan in her care, but the girl still considered her as mother and visited her when she retired. During her next visit, Lydia offered her a job. "Honey, I'll give you the business card of a cleaning agency. It's a cleaning company, mostly in the homes of wealthy families who are always busy and have servants. My niece, Alice, works there. I already told her that you need to come to the interview yourself and talk to the employees." "Thank you very much. I've already looked through all the ads, but I can't find anything suitable. Several interviews have failed. No one wants an orphan. I don't know. I don't know what they're counting on. We are the same people. We need somewhere and something to live on. Why do they treat us like this?" "Don't worry. They will listen to you. You can be sure." The old woman patted the girl on the arm. Vivian liked the job offer, and after the first interview, she was invited to the second one, where she was offered the job. They just had a vacancy for a maid, and Viv was perfect for them. Her first order of business was the house of a rich old man, Carter. But the difficulty was that he was a very meticulous and demanding man, though blind. Many thought to fool him, hoping that he would not notice anything, but the old man smelled such workers a mile away, and did not let him get away. It was difficult to please Carter, as well as to find favor. So he lived alone. His large house was equipped with modern gadgets, a robot vacuum cleaner that was triggered by voice, a smart house based on artificial intelligence. Despite these technological innovations, the house still needed a maid, because a human hand was needed to keep it in order. "Be careful with him, new girl." Her old colleagues warned Vivian, whom Carter drove out of his apartment. "If the old man doesn't like something, he will immediately start scolding. He's generally nasty, so you'd better not argue with him. He used to be in the army, commanding young soldiers, and then he left the service to go into business. But he's still got that commanding attitude, so he thinks he's allowed to boss people around." No one wanted to work for Carter, only Viv agreed. "I have nothing to lose. I have seen all kinds of horror within the walls of orphanage. I'm used to it." She answered all the warnings of her colleagues. "Let's see what this harmful old man of yours is like." Knowing that he was blind, the girl thought that it was not so difficult to understand his bad temper. Besides, if many have tried to fool him around in his own house before, taking advantage of the old man's infirmity. "So don't bring any acquaintances here. Work all contracted hours, and don't get distracted by the telephone," Carter told Vivian the first time they met. "Otherwise, working for me is not that difficult. You have 2 lunch breaks, you can take food with you if you want. There is a separate shelf in the fridge for you. I have chef working in the kitchen, and I've arranged for you to be cooked as well. So talk to him about it." The old man turned out to be polite and demanding. He did not keep a large staff of servants. He did not need it. Carter's wife had died 7 years before, so he lived alone. He had a pet, Baron, a golden retriever, who was more the old man's friend than his guide. But Baron sensed people perfectly, warning his owner of danger. Viv got along with the golden-haired beauty from the first days. He ran up to the girl, disturbing her movements, and begged for affection. "Ah, you fluffy prankster, you distract me from my work. If Baron accepts you, it means you're a good man. You can smell all suspicious people a mile away. That's how I recognize cheaters." "How nice that you have such a friend. He's very affectionate," she replied with a smile. Vivian's work went smoothly. She became accustomed to the old man and tried to comply with his requirements, not to spoil the relationship. Once she stumbled upon a hiding place in an old dresser in Carter's office. Discovering the door, somehow a robot vacuum cleaner got stuck in the corner and made a noise to get it out of there. Viv bent down to get it and accidentally elbowed the dresser. The sound was muffled, which is what interested her. The girl touched the place again, and a hidden recess in the wall opened up. There were various folders, documents, and scrapbooks lying there. At once an envelope fell at Vivian's feet, and pictures spilled out of it. She sat down and hurriedly began to gather them up, not to appear in the house owner's eyes as a thief who intentionally searched the old man for some hidden places and savings. But what she saw made her stand still in surprise. In one photograph, Viv noticed herself at the age of 3. She immediately noticed the pink suit she had been given to the orphanage in. There was no doubt it was her. The girl immediately wondered what that could mean. Were she and Carter related? How to find out the truth? Was it worth asking the old man directly about everything? But Vivian was afraid. The old man was strict. He could not believe her, as if she did not do it on purpose. Probably the crooks had tried to trick the blind widower more than once. "I don't know what to do," Vivian told Lydia. "Carter might kick me out without listening. He may be my only family member. I can't lose him. You need a DNA test. I know it's expensive, but I have some savings on my card," the old lady suggested. "And don't say no. It's your only chance to have family. I'll be glad to help in this case." "Thank you so much. I'm so grateful." The girl cried into the tube, hoping that everything would be resolved safely, and she would finally learn the secret of her family. "Good girl. Then take this man's hair from the comb. Let's do a test. If it turns out to be a mistake, your photo in that suit is not worth talking about. And if it is confirmed, no one will scold you for your willfulness." Viv agreed. She had no other option to solve the family problem. She had nothing to lose anyway, because the only person close to her was Lydia, who once again supported her. With anxiety and excitement, Viv waited 2 weeks for the results of the DNA test. Having opened the envelope, she knew with a trembling heart that with 99.9% probability, she and Carter were relatives. The girl had the courage to go to the old man with the envelope and tell him everything, swallowing her tears. "So you are my granddaughter." Carter's frozen eyes became moist. "It can't be. Vivian, it really is you." It turned out that this photo of her was in her stash. She was just 3 years old. That was the last time the old man saw his granddaughter. "My daughter Luna, your mother, grew up poor." Carter began his story. "Your grandmother Eva and I lived modestly, didn't see much money. Then I decided to open my own business. I got the money when my daughter was going through puberty. The big money drove her crazy. We spoiled her, gave her lots of pocket money, and we thought she would be grateful and understand what a struggle it was for me to raise our family. But Luna didn't see it that way. She received money and immediately began spending it on all her whims, doing whatever she wanted, leaving the house whenever she wanted, coming back whenever she wanted. And as she got older, she had numerous affairs with some dysfunctional guys. Her mother and I, of course, were unhappy and tried to talk sense into her, but to no avail. Then she got a steady boyfriend who was never sober and also dabbled in some illegal drugs. Luna wasn't left out, and she sinned too. Then she got pregnant. Eva and I thought she would come to her senses, become more responsible, but it was all a pipe dream. It turned out that Luna's parents hadn't seen the baby when their daughter gave birth. Then we found out that she had crashed her car with that naughty man of hers. They often drank, led reckless lives. It was to be expected sooner or later. But worst of all, The baby was never found. All we had from the 3-year-old granddaughter were pictures. I was so worried that I was rapidly losing my eyesight. Eva took care of me. We gave a lot of money for treatment, but we couldn't turn the disease around. Our granddaughter was never found. She wasn't in a mangled car after the accident. Vivian sat at shock as she listened to the story of her grandparents' hard life. After a long conversation, the girl and Carter decided that Luna, in the heat of her wild life, had surrendered her unwanted daughter to an orphanage. She and her boyfriend did not need a child. He only prevented them from having fun and getting on with their lives. I don't know why she didn't bring you to us, the old man said. We had both the strength and the money to raise the child. Every meeting we had was tense, and we ended up parting with a scandal. Maybe she decided it was easier to give up her daughter than to see her family one more time. We'll never know that now. He sighed wearily. Viv thought that since her mother had always been drinking, she might have decided to do it spontaneously, under the power of alcohol. It was sad to realize that her own mother had decided to get rid of her out of stupidity, and not because of hard life and inability to feed her child. Grandpa, I'm glad we finally met. It means a lot to me. I've always been alone. I didn't know a soulmate. And now, all this news? I was terribly afraid of making you angry by telling you the truth. It is all in the past now, granddaughter. We'll live differently, you'll see. Soon Vivian's life changed abruptly, just as Carter had promised her. She no longer needed to work, because she became the rich heiress of her grandfather's entire fortune. The girl decided to put all her efforts into her studies and enrolled in university. Now all roads were open to her. Viv introduced Lydia to her grandfather. They often communicated. From her, Carter learned the tastes and habits of his granddaughter to make the right gifts. He had changed beyond recognition, surrounded by Viv's company. Now he was calm and no longer fought over nothing with people. And the girl took over some of the household chores. She enjoyed taking care of house and cooking. After entering the university, Vivian met a third-year student, Jason. The young people immediately liked each other and soon began dating. At first, Carter was wary of his granddaughter's love affair, but then he got to know the guy better and gave the green light to the relationship because Baron accepted him as his own. Together with her grandfather, Viv visited her grandmother and parents at the cemetery.